Hello, I am Kjotleik and this is volume 6 of the Noble Leaders League Review Preview magazine. After the headlines, we have the review of the 5th league round, then a look at the updated war table, leader ratings, Adelskalender, top 6 cities, and TOTL Tables. We're ending the magazine with a preview of the games for league round 6. Now to the headlines. Pre-season 1st division favourite Sarah Jakob has had a mixed start. Back-to-back wins in rounds 4 and 5 has helped him climb into 6th place, a season high for him. After a surprisingly good start for the lower-ranked leaders, and vice versa for the high-ranked ones, it will be interesting to follow the top 2 ranked leaders Sarah Jakob and Justinian I. These 2 and 7th ranked Catherine are the only 3 top half ranked leaders actually in the top half of the table after 5 games. There will be ample opportunities for Sarah to show us why he is the number 1 ranked leader in his next few fixtures. I am specifically thinking about his round 7 fixture visiting Asuka. A win there may be what he needs to really get his season going. But first he has to not let us all down, hosting Pericles in his next game. Chenchi Wang opened the season with a win at Gilgamesh and all looked good in China. He has followed up with 4 defeats on the trot. After the last round, he fell down into the relegation zone with his 2 points, with only Huayna Capac below him. His next 3 fixtures are all against leaders currently in the bottom half of the table. A few wins there, and his fans can start to breathe with relief again. On the other hand, should he continue his poor form, he could be in for a long and hard road trying to get himself out of trouble. He didn't stay down for long, Washington of America. After his loss at Boudica, he climbed straight back up into the saddle and took on previously unbeaten Bismarck. When the hooves finally stood still and the dust settled enough for us to see, he had won domination against the second-placed leader and climbed back into 3rd place himself. He wanna be top 2, he canna be top 2 unless Bismarck drops more points. With games against Gandhi and Louis XIV on the horizon, he couldn't have asked for a nicer fixture list. But that won't matter if Bismarck starts winning again. "What's your point, Tokugawa?" somebody just asked. He opened his mouth to answer, but he had no point to make, so he shut it again. 5 games played, 5 defeats suffered, 0 points gained, 16th in the league, negative 44 score turn difference, and no points in sight. There are plenty of talking points when it comes to Tokugawa's terrible start. He listened when Alexander whispered to him in the first game. Tokugawa gave him a Diplo win to kick off the season with. After that, it has been a sorrowful sight for Tokugawa's fans to see him conquered and eliminated 3 games in a row. At the very least, Sitting Bull didn't win Conquest, but a valid point to make is that losing domination to a 15th placed Sitting Bull in a game that could have lifted him up from the foot of the table makes his situation even worse. I could go on, but there is no point. After this rant, I'm sure Tokugawa is going to prove a point winning his first game visiting Lincoln. Unless he thinks Lincoln makes a good point when he talks him into giving away an Apostolic Palace win to the smooth-talking American. In which case, this attempt at firing up Tokugawa into action has been as pointless as the Japanese leader himself. Round 5 review. 1st division. Mansa Musa's first win of the season lifted him out of the relegation zone and sent his victim, Qin Shi Huang, down there to suffer. The other leader to get himself out of the bottom 3 this round was Gilgamesh. His culture win at Peter placed him at 13th in the league. While Huayna Capac is still at the foot of the table, his draw at Huao II shows promise. It is still early enough that he can hope for a good season, but he must find a way to win games sooner rather than later. At the other end of the table, both Ashoka and Julius Caesar continues to impress. Both are on 5 wins in 5 games. This will end after Game 6 though, as they clash in Rome fighting for the number 1 spot. One of them is going to end his winning streak, but who will it be? The third leader with a perfect start of the season, Hannibal, lost at Willem van Oranje to end his perfect run. He is still third in the table, and a win in Game 6 will get him level on points with the loser of the total fight. If you look up Silver Tongue in the dictionary, you will find it accompanied by a picture of Justinian I. He has a 3-game Diplo win streak going on right now. This has put him into 4th place, but with a negative 28 score turn difference. His only defeat were at the hands of Ashoka, as the Indian leader didn't care for small talk in his round 2 domination win in Byzantium. Ashoka, Julius Caesar and Hannibal is top 3, Pericles, Xinjiang and Huayna Capac bottom 3. The opening of the season has been a mess in the first division, and I love every minute of it. I hope for more great moments, twists and turns, spectacular achievements and disastrous failures in the fixtures ahead. Second division. If the top flight is a mess, there is no shortage of drama in the second division either. The only thing that looks set in stone is that Suryavarman II is going to be promoted. Nobody seems to be able to stop him. 5 convincing wins in 5 games, and he never looks back. Behind the Khmer leader, Bismarck is still second after his domination loss at Washington that put the latter 1 point behind the former and climbing into third. Isabella won domination at Ramses II to reach 4th position with a positive 23 score turn difference, while 11 on points with Boudica, Victoria and Augustus Caesar. At the bottom end we find that Gandhi won his first game, Diplo at Roosevelt, to lift him up from the bottom to 17th. Dropping behind him is Wang Con that suffered conquest at Kublai Khan. Wang Con's only points was his round 3 domination win versus Gandhi, but now he is below the Indian leader in the table. Hammurabi joins them in the relegation zone after his 3rd consecutive defeat, losing domination at Charlemagne. This was the Holy Roman leader's first win of the season, and it lifted him away from the threat of relegation and into 10th position. Suryavarman II and Bismarck are in promotion, Washington, Isabella, Boudica and Victoria in the playoffs, while Hammurabi, Gandhi and Wang Con risk seeing 3rd division action next season should their positions not improve from here. 3rd division. Montezuma never ceases to amaze. This time he was heading for a defeat, hosting the Gol. But instead of needlessly throwing his units into overwhelming opposition, he decided to talk his way out of trouble. A turn 3-4-9 diplomatic victory in a game where he declared no wars came as lightning from a clear sky, a total shock. As the Gol lost, Genghis Khan seized the opportunity to get himself into 2nd place after his expected conquest of Lincoln. Genghis is still unbeaten, but 2 draws against Brennus and Sitting Bull is putting a lid on the celebrations among his fans. A little bit of worry could be good though, it will keep him on his toes and avoid complacency. Elizabeth surprised most of us by winning domination at Ragnar. The turn 485 victory should have come way sooner though. She was the stronger leader for most of the game, and her city capture speed was slower than a turtle's walk. Ragnar stayed on 3 cities for a very long time, long enough to make me wonder if he would end up with a very undeserving point. But finally, after a 194 turn long war, that Ragnar declared by the way, she finally captured his remaining 3 cities. The game decided it was a domination, not conquest, victory. I don't know how the game chooses when two conditions is reached on the same turn. Stalin is beginning to show some glimmer of greatness. He won Conquest at Napoleon this round to take him up to 7th in the league. Back-to-back Conquest victories with only his -5 score turn difference keeping him out of the playoffs is encouraging for his fans. His next opponent is Genghis Khan though. Maybe the fans should curb their enthusiasm for a moment. Montezuma and Genghis Khan promoted Elizabeth the Gaulle, Shaka and Ragnar in the playoffs and Tokugawa at the foot of the table. What kind of drama will be up next in the 3rd division? Round 5 marks the end of the perfect victory ratios in the war table. Now Suryavarman II is top with a 0.750 ratio. Same ratio for the Gaull in 2nd place. The difference between them is that the former has won 6 wars while the latter has won 3. In case the ratio is the same, number of victories is the divider. Should also number of wars won be the same, the 3rd divider is total turns in war divided by total turns played. The number is shown as a percentage. This is the case for 3rd and 4th placed Boudica and Ashoka. Same ratio, 0.714, same number of victories, 5, but Boudica has been in war 51.9% of her turns played, while Ashoka has only been in war 20% of his turns. Ashoka, Isabella and Roosevelt have never lost a war, but it is only the latter that has not even lost a single city. Granted, he has only been involved in 3 wars, but so has Isabella, and she has lost a city. Frederick has been involved in most number of wars, 25, Montezuma is 2nd with 22. Nobody can rival Montezuma's 12 victories though. The closest is Peter with 9 wins. Frederick has the highest number of stalemates and standoffs, 6 and 7 respectively. Only Alexander shares his 7 standoffs. Most defeats goes to Brennus and Mansa Musa, both with 9. Dishonorable mentions to Alexander and Hammurabi on 8 losses. Most cities captured, 46 Suryavarman II, 45 Mehmed II, 44 Genghis Khan and Montezuma, 43 Shaka, 40 Boudica and Ragnar. Most cities lost, 40 Brennus, 39 Ramses II, 38 Frederick and Napoleon, 37 Wang Con and 35 Lincoln. The 1600 point barrier has been broken. Ashoka is top of the leader ratings with 1608 points, followed by Julius Caesar on 1606. Suryavarman II is the best Division 2 leader in 3rd with 1592. Montezuma's 1557 points in 5th makes him the leading 3rd division leader. Huayna Capac's draw at Wow II earned him 9 points, for a new rating of 1418. He avoids dropping below 1400 for now. Other leaders dropping dangerously close to the 1300s are Tokugawa and Qin Shi Huang, both on 1430, Pericles and Wang Con, both on 1444. Suryavarman II stays top of the Adelskalender with his 1950 points, followed by Hannibal in 2nd, 2036, and Montezuma in 3rd, 2062. No leaders have completed all 5 victory conditions. Hannibal is closest with his 4, only missing Conquest. There are a lot of leaders missing 2 or 3 conditions. After the 5th game, only 2 leaders are winless: Huayna Capac of the 1st division and Tokugawa of the 3rd division. Charlemagne, Sitting Bull, Gilgamesh, Mansa Musa and Gandhi all got their first wins in round 5 to knock some points off their 2500 starting score. Ashoka and Julius Caesar are not only number 1 and number 2 in the league, they are also number 1 and number 2 in the top 6 cities leaderboard for the 1st division. Ashoka with 121 points, Julius Caesar with 104. Huayna Capac, despite still being last in the league, is 3rd with 87 points. Qin Shihang is bottom with 38. In the second division, it comes as no surprise to anyone that Suryavarman II is top. He has 104 points. Second place is highly contested with Bismarck on 93, Augustus Sazar 92 and Boudica 90 points. Churchill 35 and Hammurabi 32 are the bottom two leaders. Third division is dominated by Montezuma, 113 points in a clear lead. Elizabeth is in a good second with her 96, 11 clear of third place De Gaulle on 85 and 12 ahead of Stalin on 84. Lincoln, 19 points and Tokugawa 16, is bottom and left behind in the dust. It will take a lot of effort for those two to make their way up the leaderboard. Ashoka continues to set records as he now extends his reign at the top of the table to 4 games in a row. He will be challenged in round 6, but more of that later in the round 6 previews. The round 1 total, Saladin is currently 12th in the table, 6 points behind Ashoka and Julius Caesar. It looks like that is going to be his first and only total award this season. As the other leaders drop points behind him, Suryavarman II steadily sails into the sunset with a third consecutive total award. Many more will follow, I am sure of it. Roosevelt is number 9 in the league, 6 points behind, and looks like he has to settle for the 2 totals he's already gotten. Montezuma stays 3rd division total for the 3rd round in a row. There are 2 leaders that potentially could knock him down in round 6, Genghis Khan and Elizabeth. De Gaulle is 3 points behind, but has not given up on regaining his top spot that he had the 2 first rounds of the season. Round 6 preview. First division. I am going out of order by talking about the last game first, but for a very good reason. Julius Caesar vs Ashoka is the game hyped up to the extreme. Having a round 6 fixture between the top 2 leaders, both of whom has 5 wins in 5 games, is extraordinary. Ashoka has impressed us all, and his fans are high from expectations and NLL fever. If we take a closer look, we'll find, however, that his opponents have not been particularly good. His wins have been against, in order, Cyrus 7th, Justinian I 4th, Pakal II 14th, Pericles 16th and Saladin 12th. Comparing that to Julius Caesar's opponents of Willem van Uran 8th, Qin Shihang 17th, Suleiman 10th, Saladin 12th and Pericles 16th, we find that while not the best, his opponents have fared slightly better than the opponents of Julius Caesar. The average current league position of Ashoka's opponents is 10.6 and Julius Caesar's is 12.6. Ashoka to win and stay total? In the first division, the 6th round kicks off with the Russian derby between Catherine and Peter. Both are mid-table with 4 points. Catherine is 9th, Peter 11th in the league. Catherine looked better a few rounds ago. She has now lost back-to-back games against Cyrus and Justinian I. Peter has lost 2 of his last 3 games. Both Russian leaders are in lackluster form and would need a derby win to reignite the fire and enthusiasm they both had prior to the start of the season. Gilgamesh will host Mansa Musa in an important game towards the bottom of the table. Both leaders won their first game in round 5 and aims at making back-to-back wins in round 6. I cannot see a favourite here, both are on 3 points, Gilgamesh in 13th, Mansa Musa 15th in the table. Qin Shi Huang takes on Pakal II, dropping down into the relegation zone after a loss at Mansa Musa, with another bottom clash versus Pakal II now, makes for tension among Qin's supporters. It is important not to suffer another defeat against a leader fighting for survival this season. 4 consecutive losses isn't helping either. There is not much optimism to find in the Mayan camp before this game either. 1 win so far and 3 points is not meeting the expectations of Pakal II's fans. If he cannot even win against a leader with a 4-game losing streak. Sullla 4 points in 10th place is hosting Willem van Oranje with 5 points in 8th place for round 6. Both leaders won round 5 and are looking up the table rather than down. Maybe it is too early to call it a trend, but Sullla has lost both of his home fixtures this season. It would probably be a good idea to stop that from becoming a talking point in the future by winning this one. Saladin receives Cyrus for his game 6. 4 points in 12th versus Cyrus's 6 points in 7th. Saladin has lost back-to-back domination to Julius Caesar and Ashoka. Cyrus should be a little bit easier to handle than the top 2 leaders. However, Cyrus's loss to Sullla stopped a 3-game winning streak. He is in good form and hopes to continue that by inflicting a 3rd consecutive defeat for Saladin. 6th placed Sara Jakob is hosting 16th placed Pericles. While Sara Jakob is the favorite to win, it must be mentioned that Pericles has lost culture twice in games where he has dominated the map and where it would be logical to assume he would go on to win domination. Those games were home to Justinian I in round 1 and Julius Caesar last game. He would have looked a lot better off had he actually gotten points from those 2 games. If Sara underestimates him, he could be in for a surprise. Hannibal is up against Wow II, 3rd place with 8 points versus Wow's 5th place with 7. An important game to win, especially considering that the top 2 leaders play each other this round. Wow II has not won any of his last 2 games though. His form may be dipping a bit now. If that is indeed the case, Hannibal should be able to get back into the swing of things after having suffered his first defeat at Willem van Oranje last game. He had won his first 4 games, so probably still in good form, with his confidence intact. Huayna Capac takes on Justinian I. It looks like a mismatch with Huayna on 1 point while Justinian is on 8. However, their score turn difference is almost identical. Huayna Capac on -30, Justinian I on -28. This could be a tougher game to call than what you'd first expect when just casually glancing at the league table. Second Division. The second division kicks off round 6 with the game between Churchill and Hatshepsut in England. Both leaders are on 4 points, Churchill in 15th and Hatshepsut in 12th position. While it is too early to say for sure, it looks like it might be a season where these 2 leaders will be fighting to stay clear of relegation. In that case, a win here may be more important than just 2 points. Hammurabi is hosting Mao Zedong as he is trying to get himself out of the relegation zone that he dropped into after 3 consecutive defeats. He has 3 points in 16th place. Mao is up to 8 in the league after back-to-back wins and looks like he is coming into form. Not a good time for Hammurabi to have to play him, in other words. Mao Zedong is only a point away from getting into the playoffs, so there is no question about his motivation before this game. Louis XIV is home to Augustus Caesar. The French leader won to get himself up to 13th in the league with 4 points. Augustus is 7th with 6 points after winning Diplo hosting Victoria last game. The visitor is a small favorite in this game. Foot of the table Wang Con will host out of form Roosevelt. Wang Con's lone win came in game 3 as he won domination hosting Gandhi. The other 4 games were losses. Roosevelt opened the season magnificently with 2 domination wins out of the gate. However, his last 3 games have all ended with him giving away Diplo wins to his opponents. If he can just avoid falling in love with the other leaders, he should have a fair chance to get back into his winning ways here. Isabella hosts Charlemagne in her game 6. She is 4th in the league with 6 points, up against 10th placed Holy Roman Emperor with 4 points. She has won 3 of her last 4 games. Charlemagne won his last game by getting a turn 496 domination hosting Hammurabi, a mere 4 turns away from yet another draw at home. Prior to round 5, he had been drawing at home and losing away. Will this mark the beginning of an upturn for Charlemagne, or will he fall back to old habits, losing while traveling? Victoria takes on Ramses II in England. 6 points in 6th place for Victoria. Ramses II is 14th with 4 points. She came from 3 consecutive wins before giving away a Diplo to Augustus in her last game. Ramses II were also showing signs of improvement with 2 wins before losing round 5 domination to Isabella. Which of the 2 leaders will brush off the disappointment from last round and get quickly back to their surge in form? There is a top game happening between Bismarck and Boudica in Germany for round 6. The host is second in the league with 8 points after his first defeat of the season in round 5. Boudica is 5th with 6 points as she inexplicably gave away a Diplo win to Louis XIV last time. Both leaders need a win to get to where they want to be. Bismarck to stay top 2, Boudica to get closer to the coveted promotion places, and to avoid dropping outside the playoffs. Much is at stake here. Gandhi will be the generous host as Washington comes to India. With 3 points in 17th place, Gandhi is expected to lose when he is up against an in-form Washington in 3rd place with 7 points. Winning Diplo at Roosevelt is one thing, getting the same result versus Washington is a completely different matter. But if anyone can, it will be Gandhi, right? Sir Varman II is top of the league with 5 wins in 5 and 10 points. He is taken on a visit from Kublai Khan. The visitor is 11th in the league with 4 points. Despite the fact that Kublai is coming into form after back-to-back wins his last 2 games, I cannot see him getting much from this encounter. It will be a surprise should Sir Varman II not win this game. 3rd Division. The game to kick off round 6 on Monday, July the 12th is the 3rd Division game between Darius I and Napoleon. Darius is 15th in the league with 2 points, Napoleon 9th with 5. The Persian leader is on a 3-game losing streak after his round 2 win at Stalin. Napoleon lost to Stalin in round 5 but had 2 wins before that. Hard to call, but if Napoleon continues his aggressive ways, he should be fine here. Lincoln is hosting Tokugawa. While enough has been said about Tokugawa's abysmal form, we should also mention that Lincoln has lost his last 3 games, after double Diplo wins in his first 2 rounds. This may very well be Tokugawa's best shot at getting a win for a very long time to come. Brennus on 4 points in 12th place will host Ragnar on 6 points in 6th. Ragnar was unbeaten until he lost domination to Elizabeth in round 5. He will look to get over that embarrassment as soon as possible. Brennus could be a good opponent in that regard. The Celtic leader has lost back-to-back games now and is looking a bit grim. There is a mid-table battle between Mehmed II and Alexander. Both leaders are on 5 points, Mehmed in 8 and Alexander in 10th place. Mehmed II has lost both his home games this far and Alexander has not lost an away game. The Goals fans were disappointed after he gave away a Diplo win to Montezuma in a game he looked likely to win. It should be easier this time as it is Frederick coming over for a visit. The host dropped down to 4th with his 6 points after the loss, while Frederick is in 11th on 4 points after getting conquered by Mehmed II last game. 3rd placed Elizabeth receives 5th placed Shaka for the battle between the 2 playoff placed leaders. She has 7 points while Shaka is on 6. Unbeaten in her last 3 games, 2 wins a draw, Elizabeth is confident she can get something from this as well. Shaka is winning more than he is losing. With his aggressive tendencies, he is a challenge for everyone, Elizabeth included. This could go either way. Early expansion could be the key for the English Empress. If she fails at that, the game is open for Shaka to do what pleases him the most: eliminating opponents. Stalin hosts Genghis Khan for round 6. 6 points in 7th place is just 1 place short of a playoff spot for the Russian leader. Genghis is 2nd on 8 points, looking for his first total, but a win here is not enough for the Khan. He will also need help from Sitting Bull. Not that a win is guaranteed either, mind you. Stalin has won his last 2 games and are undefeated in 3. This is an exciting matchup that I'm looking forward to. The last game in the division is between Sitting Bull and Montezuma up in North America. While there is no denying the fact that Montezuma is heavy favorite to win this game, Sitting Bull has surprised us before. His draw hosting Genghis Khan is legendary. That was a game the Native American leader should have won. Genghis were lucky to avoid a defeat there. If he can get his protective archery units up in time for Monty's attack, he could create some problems for the Aztecs. But I won't bet on it. This was the 6th edition of the NLL RPM. The 6th round fixtures starts Monday, July the 12th. I hope to see you back then. I am Kjotleik, wishing you a good summer. See you later. Kjotleik out.